everything that a person should do, but it is simply directing some limits towards the good, so that the person can direct himself towards the good. Okay, now it is very difficult to conjugate those two, and good thing that God has given us a certain voice called conscience, so that inside us, there will be some lights in relation to the natural moral law. Something would be specified for specific actions. It's an inner voice in the soul that specifies the moral obligation in the light of what the law in the person's heart is, in the light of the natural moral law. It is the obligation to do what the individual, through the workings of his conscience, knows to be good, he is called to do here and now. So that conscience is very important. I will explain further in the next slide. The conscience, St. John Paul called it such, is the proximate norm of personal morality. Everybody has to follow his or her conscience as a general rule. Okay? Although there are some classifications, and best to pass through these very, very quickly. It could be right or true. The right or true conscience is when it judges, for example, it judges, sorry, what stands for this? Okay. It judges truthfully regarding the moral quality of an act. It could also be wrong, erroneous. Many times it is because of ignorance. The person simply doesn't know, which could be blameworthy to him or not, culpable or invincible. He could have conquered that ignorance or not. It is certain when the person clearly is sure that this one is the right thing or the wrong thing. When it's not sure, it is a greater percentage on one option over the other. It is called, when it's 50, he really doesn't know, is confused exactly on the relationships between those options. He or she is perplexed, having a perplexed conscience. So, rule of thumb, in practice, we have to follow only certain and true conscience, or a certain invincibly erroneous conscience, meaning that is not blameworthy. Okay, so Father, follow also the erroneous conscience. Yes, because normally this is unknown. No, it doesn't know that he or she is erroneous. Okay, however, don't act when it is doubtful. When you don't know what is right and wrong, suspend the judgment. Seek first to resolve the doubt through many means, possibly prayer, study, seeking advice. Okay, we are called to form that conscience, the formation of a right conscience, which is instruction in the intellect, in the knowledge of the truth, for which the Catholic relies on the help of the Church's magisterium. This is why there were also questions submitted before the preparation of the class. This is why the Catholic is in a better position to understanding than natural moral law. Now, because of the authority given to the teaching of the Church to interpret the natural moral law for man, because of the great study, the great tradition behind it. For example, for us Catholics, it is very clear. For example, those things that we have learned in sexual morality, thanks to the study of the teaching office of the Church, the Church's magisterium. For a non-Catholic, it is not easy. He or she may be grappling in some questions. I remember this author and also an intellectual. His name is Scott Hahn, who had great doubts regarding contraception. No? Because all the other denominations, Christian denominations, approved of it, but in his own judgment, it seems that there's something uncomfortable, and only the Catholic Church approved of it. Later on, he was very blunt about it. He was practicing it, until much later, greater study, prayer, no, and guidance of the church's magisterium, he was able to understand that this is unnatural. Okay, to stop the motherhood or the fatherhood as a potency in the conjugal act. Okay, so the formation of right conscience requires instruction, theory, requires education in the will, the life of virtues, and the emotions as well. And the effort lasts our entire lives. I will highlight, so that we could form our conscience, we need to practice these virtues of humility, in particular sincerity with God and also with another person. It is very important that we open up our hearts with somebody, because it's so easy in the formation of conscience. We can fool ourselves. We can easily fool ourselves. And when we open up, on the other hand, we would be helped. Somebody would point us what we already know is right or wrong. But we need to hear it nevertheless, because it brings clarity to a person's life. It's also important, the formation of one's conscience, to be surrounded by good people, by people who are trying to be virtuous, not virtuous yet. Surrounded by people. In fact, in the formation of right conscience, the family plays a very, very important role. Normally, the parents are the ones who teach their children what is right and wrong. If a person has a lacune or a lack of this formation, then he or she has to look for ways to supplement or to learn further. And this is what we are doing in the doctrine class and also in the means of formation. So formation is crucial for a person's conscience. Okay, to summarize, I've been talking for quite some time already. This was quoted in the letter of the prelate very recently, when he talks about freedom. The objective of freedom is that we be able to love. And that is that love by which it is directed and by which its freedom also was made or was given to man. It is a gift from God. So if we can love, we can be very free. Love and do what you will. If we are able to love, we will be able to follow the law, definitely, the new law of love, because everything will be good from the perspective of our actions, because we're seeking the good of the others. The true love, this is not an apparent love, the authentic love. And at the same time, we will be always guided by that conscience. Okay? Maybe this is the main takeaway. Try to learn to love, continue your formation in the law and also in the conscience, but keep in mind that this is the objective. And do what you will. This is a quote from St. Augustine. With that, I end, and I want to interact a bit with those who are present. Hello. Maybe we can unmute for those who seek to. Hello. Well, good. I know some people here. Hello.
Yes.
Hi, Father.
Okay, I know some people here. Good to see you. Okay, we can interaction now about law and whatever you want. As long as about other commands, because we will tackle them.
Okay, now the floor is now open for questions. You may type in your questions or say it audibly and direct to our speaker, Father Menchavez.
You can also call Mr. John Paul Carmela, just in case.
Yes. Okay, there's a question here from Alisa.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Father. Why do you think humans have a natural tendency to believe in a God or to be a believer? Just curious.
Yeah.
And then, okay.
I could read Alisa.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Chat box, she typed it. Okay, well, normally the human being can discern that he cannot control everything. That there is a power beyond. No, so our primitive primitive man and primitive ancestors were trying to look at nature and see God is there. And so they tried to treat the mountain as God, the sun as God. So it's very natural for man to believe. Okay, that answers hopefully the first question. So to be an unbeliever is quite unnatural. You really need to think a lot. You really need to justify also your position because it's against the nature of man not to have any religion. Okay, so those atheist friends of ours are finding it difficult to be consistent with their position. And the second question, to sin seems to be obsolete or outdated concept. Yes, unfortunately, because there's a deadening, a silencing of it, no? Offense against God, because God is also being forgotten. Okay, please comment on this. Is it fair to say generally in an assumed post-Christian world, it is because people do not view morality this way? Curious. Curious was before. No? Okay. The seems to be obsolete or outdated. Yes. In a secular world, if I'm not mistaken, God has disappeared, and what remains is the world. What remains is everything that's important is those things that we see in the secula, what happens here and now. And I don't want to ask the deeper questions. What is life for, etc. I just want to go day by day an existence that is very shallow. No? So that's and then also my faith is unimportant there in that equation. Now, if this is the lifestyle, then sin really becomes so relative and so unimportant, so vague, no, already. Now, sin becomes, for example, a concept in many pagan societies. Sin is going against the law that the state has established. Period. No? So it's not the case, as we know. No? So it is a post-Christian world, and assume post-Christian world. What do we do? Well, very difficult, but we have to do with as we have been doing. Friendship, communication of faith in the most natural sense, making them see that God matters in this world, in our lives, and also in the lives of the others, in the lives of the whole world. It is not easy because so many people have forgotten Him. But our own lives becomes a testimony towards an attraction for them to go back because they are seeking Him. They are replacing Him, or they are seeking Him, and they're trying to locate Him in many things. It could be money, it could be fame, it could be power, it could be other egoistic interests. It could also be, as you and I know, into the leisures of this world. So there's an emptiness in that. No? Ours, those who are believers, on the other hand, have greater depth, understanding of what life is, thankful for the grace of having that faith. So it is to help them now. But yeah, it's becoming a sad world. It seems if it's veering away or distancing us away from
Thank you, Father.
You're welcome.
You're frozen.
Yeah, there are questions here that are asked privately. I'll just briefly answer them, hopefully. No, sorry. Okay. How can I keep being motivated during the quarantine, especially when sometimes I find myself being unproductive? Okay, there's the question, and she sent it privately. I'll answer it publicly. Okay, well, during the quarantine, it's very good to realize that you are connected with people. No, try to connect a lot
It's frozen again.
the family members. When I say connect, spend a lot of time with them. With a few friends, do the same as well. Meaning, our lives are really interrelated. That could help you, change your mood each time. Change the ball game in every activity. Try to think also of ways how you could live the sacraments in the limited way, perhaps. I am so happy. You see my room. It's the office that I have. Can you see it? Type C if you see it. No. Or you see it. I've been meeting several. Okay.